2025 is right around the corner, and it's time for me to sit down and think about what my goals are going to be for the new year. Even though 2024 isn't over yet, the new year is coming so very quickly. So it's time to decide what it is that I'm going to do. And while I have not yet put together my annual year in review, everything I knit in the year episode, so I made goals for 2024 that I'm not sure if I've met them yet. I know I've met some of them, but I don't know about all of them. But what I like to do is set some goals. And this upcoming year for 25, I want to switch things up a little bit. So if you've been here a while on the channel, you know that I like to switch things up from time to time. I do tend to get bored with things if they're the same for an extended period of time. And my YouTube channel is no exception to that. So I've had different knitting goals over the years. When I first got back into knitting, so I first learned how to knit when I was a teenager, and I did it for a little while, stopped, picked it back up again as an adult. And during that process, I started this YouTube channel and sharing my journeys and connecting with people over the internet and at fiber festivals, and it's just grown into this big part of my life now. And in the beginning, my knitting goals were just to knit more, try more things, do more, make more things. And that was great in the beginning, but there is a limit on how much I can actually do in a year. So always doing more isn't the answer for me. I do work a full-time job that many weeks is more than 40 hours of work, and I just don't have the time and resources to just always do more. So instead, these past, well, definitely for 2024, I thought I would focus more on curated seasonal lists. So instead of trying to just do more, I wanted to achieve certain items in my wardrobe. And that's been really fun to create a winter list and then try to knit as much as I can off my winter list in the winter season. And then in spring, make a list for spring of spring themed items, and then try to knit as many of those as I can in the spring season. And that was really fun this past year, but I want to do something different. So what I'm about to tell you is not a brand new idea, and I do not take credit for this idea whatsoever. I don't know where this even started, but I thought instead of thinking about particular projects, you know, there's like make 9 and you pick your 9 items. There's the 12 cast-ons with Ange from Yarn and Yarns. There's all kinds of different ideas of kind of how to set up your year and getting ready for it. And this year, instead of seasonal making lists, I still want to keep things open. See, here's the problem with me deciding all the things I'm going to make for the year now. I change my mind. I change my mind, and when the mood strikes for me to cast something on, I want to have the flexibility to do that. And if I decide these are the things you're knitting for the year right now, and I don't give myself the flexibility to change that later, I'm not going to like this. I'm also not going to achieve that goal very well. So what I decided is for this year, I would play bingo. So I have made my own bingo card. It is 5 squares by 5 squares, so 25 total. I did make the middle a free space. Now, what I'm going to do is first explain this, and then I'll put in a nice screenshot of this in the video. And at that point, if you want to pause it, take a picture, use the same bingo card that I'm using, or you want to take these ideas and create your own, like, it's totally up to you if you want to try this too. So I did a bit of looking around on the internet because, like I said, this is not a new thing that I'm doing. There are plenty of crafting bingo cards out there on the internet if you want to find more inspiration. I have been knitting for a while and I've made a lot of different things. I'm a pretty regular sock knitter. I've made quite a few garments now. I've done weaving, I've done sewing, I've done lots of different specific things. So on my bingo card, I did not fill this up with make a sweater, make socks, make a hat, make gloves, because I've kind of done all of those things. And so what I focused on was not making different items because I've kind of already experienced that. I wanted to keep this more open to techniques or tools. So I have acquired quite a few different tools in my craft room. I got a new drum carder this year. I got some new wool combs. I have an ankle loom that I haven't used. I have a rigid heddle loom that needs to be repaired so I can use it again, and things like that. So I thought I would create a bingo card that would encourage me to use those tools and also different techniques. So my bingo card I called Fiber Bingo because this includes things for spinning, knitting, and crocheting. And I wanted to keep it open to that. So I have things on here like use hand spun yarn. So I've spun yarn and I want to use it, but I'm leaving it open. I could knit with it, I could crochet with it, I could embroider with it, but use hand spun yarn somehow. I have Inkle Loom in here because I've never used my Inkle Loom and I want to use it. So I need to do a project on my Inkle Loom, but I didn't say what. Is it going to be a bag strap? Is it going to be a belt? Will it have intensive patterning? Will it not? Just the goal is to use the Inkle Loom. I have mix crafting in one project. So this one, what I mean is, for example, I could create a garment using crochet and knitting together in one garment, which I did do a garment like that last year. I crocheted a like granny square cardigan and I knit the cuffs because I wanted actual knit ribbing for the cuffs. So I mixed crochet and knitting in one project. But something like that, it could be sewing and crochet, it could be sewing, crochet, and knitting, it could be a lot of different things. A new to you construction. So I've done a lot of different construction methods for socks and garments. I need to find something that's still new to me and use that in some way. Unconventional, I'm leaving kind of open, but if you've ever watched Project Runway and they have the unconventional challenge where they have to make a garment out of things you wouldn't imagine making garment out of, like wrenches and washers and screwdrivers and stuff like that. So that's what I had in mind here was unconventional, but I'm leaving it open as well to be just a regular craft, but an unconventional item, like knitting something that you wouldn't expect to be knitted. So unconventional in some way. So my goal is to use this throughout the entire year, and I don't need to do 25, 24 different projects because I do have a free space here. So one project could tick multiple boxes. So I'm not saying you have to do 25 separate things. One thing could tick a lot of boxes. The goal is to make progress on this throughout the year. But let's say I want to knit a pair of socks for a family member and I don't want it to be new. Like there's a particular way they like their socks and I want to continue to make them socks that they like in that fashion. That's not going to be something new off of here. But I still want to allow myself to be able to create that sometime in the year 2025. So that's my first goal for 2025, is to actually black out my bingo card. Just knock off every square on there throughout the entire year. That's my first goal. My second goal is going to be a repeat from 2024, and that goal is to use more out of my stash than what I bring in. Yeah, I have a fantastic stash of yarn and wool, and I want to use it. So I love shopping for yarn and fiber. It's a lot of fun to do, but I don't want it to just stop there. I actually want to transform it into a usable project. So I will be continuing this goal into 2025. The counter will start fresh. So at the end of 2024, we'll see how I did for that year, and it will start anew in 25. What I do for that goal is I count a project as the yarn actually coming out of my stash when I finish it. So let's say, for example, I have a project I started this year in 24. I don't finish it this year. Then none of that yarn counts for 24, right? I'm not going to count, well, 3 skeins were knit in 24 and then 3 more in 25 and split the yardage up that way. I don't count my projects that way. Whenever I finish the item is the year it gets counted in. So if that were to be the case, where I didn't finish a project this year, but I didn't finish it next year, then the yardage would count for next year. So that's it. Those are my 2 goals for next year, 2025. But I'm curious about your goals. Are you thinking about setting a yardage or a weight goal for using things out of your stash? Are you thinking about doing seasonal making or monthly making? Or do you have a certain number of items in mind that you're working toward? Or maybe you want to try the bingo card. Let me know down in the comments below. I love knowing how people give structure to their crafting, or if you're just like, I make what I want to make and I don't set any rules for myself. I want to know that too. Anyway, I wish you all a happy new year, and I can't wait to see you in 2025. Bye.